So, I really want to thank you, all the speakers that came before me. Very insightful presentation. Um, and I've learned a lot of things, right, as usual, like what we have always been doing, right, for our annual conference. So this is actually one of the very exciting events that I'm looking forward every year, right? And I want to give my special thanks to the secretariat team of TAPA APAC for organizing such an awesome event today. So a big round of applause for our secretariat team in TAPA APAC. Thank you very much. So closing remarks should be short and sweet. I was told by someone earlier, right? I think the acronym is KISS. Keep it simple and sweet. So I try to make that happen so that, what's keeping us from now to the really end of the day is the SCRS award and the gala dinner, right? So we are all looking forward to that. It's at 6:30, just a kind of like hygiene, housekeeping announcement, right? 6:30 at the same place that we had our lunch. So, to give a summary of what all the speakers has shared with us today, I think that's boiled down to three main points that I have personally, right? I'm taking some notes over there in the earlier part of the day. So it's really people, process, and technology, right? These are the three elements that we can't really run away from. If we do these three well, we are embracing the modernization and hyper-automation opportunities that is presented to us today, right? So if you look at the screen today, now here, I will want to use an analogy so that people can understand it better, right? So the first point here is all about individual, what we are doing as an enterprise, as a department, as an organization, right? We have to be honest about ourselves to get things started. How we do that? Risk assessment, right? We do a meaningful risk assessment, find out what is the vulnerabilities that we have as an organization, and identifying the risk that is presented to you as an organization, right? All the organization comes with different risks, different level of risk, and the risk appetite is different. So we need to have a tailored approach to the risk management program. We cannot eliminate risk, right? People will tell me, if you want to eliminate risk altogether, stop doing business. Then you have no risk, right? So as a matter of fact, we have to accept that, we have to manage it as what our business is exposed to. Then we have to prepare plans to counter the risk. And what you're seeing here is business continuity plan, but in some organization, we call it differently. Enterprise risk management, crisis management, disaster recovery. But all boils down to having a plan to help us mitigate the risk effectively, right? So when you have identified your risk, the plans that you have put in place, I think we need to review it consistently and continuously, right? Organization will change, people come and go, and we need to make sure that the plans stay as relevant as last year or the last time that we did the review. So that's absolutely important. And the integrated risk management that we have put here as one of the point, I think that's pretty challenging. It's easy to say that, hey, get everybody into that process. But we all know that in business, and I remember what Vivian has shared with us, right? Getting the business to do the risk assessment with us together as professionals is very important. But we all know that sometimes it's really challenging because the business sometimes don't care about risk. They care about profitability, right? But if you can demonstrate by mitigating the risk and raise the profitability, I think that's one strategy that we can take, right? So talking about ourselves internally, then we want to extend it to your environment. That is your partner, your supplier, even your customer, and making sure that we have a end-to-end process, to protect the supply chain security management. And I do want to put it a point that instead of really just talking about supply chain security, this is actually talking about human chain. Human and human. Do you understand your customer? Do you know the challenges of your supplier? Are you there to help them to overcome the challenges? And what are the strategies you can share with your suppliers to help them get to the place that you want them to be? I think this is what a lot of us are already doing. And at Dell, we are consistent applying that philosophy, having that close link with our suppliers, our contract manufacturers, so we share information very frequently in real time, We have also our annual conference coincidentally on Monday before the TAPA conference, right? Then continuously monitoring, and I think one of the most common way to do that is through audits. Conducting meaningful audit. And when I say meaningful, one of the ways is to use TAPA standard, right? Uh, the good thing about TAPA standard, I do want to point out, is it is not bound by geography, right? It is not a US standard, it's not a UK standard, it's not an Asia standard, it's an international standard that's recognized throughout. So if we all start to use the same international standard to measure our own efficiency, I think that is where we want to get everybody to, right? And for auditors doing the audits using that standard, everybody can be consistent. And how many times have we heard about our suppliers and partners saying that, your result depend on who is coming to us for audit. You might give different feedback. You might give different recommendation, right? And a lot of time is based on experience, right? Nothing wrong with that. But if we have a common set of guidelines and protocol to guide us through, I think no surprises for anyone. We are all basing off from the same standard. So transparent sharing, communication is essential. Like what I say, it's a human chain, right? Human chain is part of supply chain. And then the last, after we talk about internal, we talk about the extended environment. I do want to say that we have a superpower that is in terms of technology, right? We talk about AI, how AI can help us. And in the morning, I was having this conversation with Mark, and he showed me how we can really put AI into work. We are not just talking, we are using AI, And he snapped a picture of the presentation, and guess what, right? Press on one button, you give a synopsis of what the presentation is all about. That's simply awesome, right? It cut away so many manual work that you have to do research, spend hours doing that, but now click of a button, a finger will do the job, right? So that's really a very good and simple use case of AI that I see this morning. So, AI cover a lot of different tools, right? Whether you talk about machine learning, you talk about deep learning, you want to use it for data collection, data cleansing, so on and so forth, right? And I do want to come back to where I work in Dell, right? So we have a sizable investment in China. So we have the biggest factory operations so far in China, and it's staying put that way, right? As far as I know. And we have converted one of the production line into fully automated robotic production line, right? So that's really one of the things that we put in place. We want to pursue, and we want to continue to pursue automation, to achieve the effectiveness of the production, reducing costs, reducing the reliance of manpower, right? And we are not going to forget the element of very important cybersecurity. We all know that how AI is great, but how AI can go wrong. And Yang has shared with us some of the strategy about cybersecurity earlier. So what we can do, I think we want to convert that into actionable steps, instead of just sharing how good we can be, but rather what we can do, right? So those are some of the recommendations. Is a non-exhaustive list, right? So getting things done might require investment. I think there's no other way around that. You have to spend money to get the things done. So these are some of the recommendations that you can think about, or you are already doing it, right? Predictive analytics, real-time monitoring tools, whether you're talking about a security command center or monitoring station, instead of relying manpower like what we have always done, nothing wrong about that. And in fact, in some countries, it is still the most visible way, right? We all know that, cost does come into factor. Developing the partnership, and back to the point of human chain, how you're going to make the human chain as strong as your supply chain, I think is very important, if not equally important as how we treat supply chain security. Right, so continue to engage with your suppliers, your customers, your partners. We have even expand our audit program beyond just our contract manufacturing and logistic provider this year, right? We are going into our software and hardware providers, and we are there to see what they are doing and how we can offer help, as an enterprise. And the third one is a brand protection strategy. I think we have a full day of agenda tomorrow on brand protection. I will really look forward to listen, to the expert panel of speaker tomorrow, just to bring us through the various strategy about, brand protection. So stay tuned for tomorrow program. Just that you're aware, this is a 2-day event. It's not a 1 day. Even though we are having the dinner on the first day, tomorrow program will still be the same, right? We're starting a bit later, I think 10, but I hope to see everybody back, tomorrow, right? So this is something that I kind of put it in last night. I was thinking of how to show in terms of a pictorial illustration on what we have been doing. And the two chart that you're seeing here is some of the report scorecard as a company that we've been sharing with our partners, our business leaders, and with our peers globally, right? Outside of Asia Pacific. So the first bar graph that you see here, a little bit slimmer in the middle, so that is a positive trajectory that we use that to show the percentage of the TAPA certified auditors that we have over the last 2 years, right? We started at like 29%, FY23, then we went up much higher. I can't look at the number here, it's too small, too tiny, right? But I do know that FY25, which is this year, we are very near to 100% completion for all our auditors. There's 16 of us altogether. So the effect is twofold. Equipping the auditors with the common protocols of TAPA standards. And when you go to these suppliers for the audit, they will expect the same standard no matter which auditor come for the audit session, right? And one of the advantages really, and I'm also hearing this from our suppliers, right? They are not worried about the tough requirement that you have put in place for them. In fact, they think it's good because that will give them the leverage to go back to the business and say, hey, you know what? This is the customer requirement. And this is not just the first time we are listening to this. It's a repeated feedback. It's a repeated observation, and that gives them the leverage to ask for more resources, ask for more funding to make things work, right? And that is the beauty of having that consistent level of standards that's recognized internationally. Oh, that's the last slide. So I try to keep it, short, but I think it's important for us to do a meaningful recap, on the excellent topic that we prepared for everyone today. The first day, I look forward to the second day of presentation, and I look more forward to the dinner later, right? So that's what everybody is waiting for. So that's what I have. Thank you very much, everyone.